This is WPSL Port St. Lucie, the talk of the Treasure Coast.
The views expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of WPSL. However, we're the ones that have encouraged you all along to like and share them on social media and with all your friends and neighbors, because it's time for Martin County Roofing and Rudy's Health Insurance to bring you the African American Scene, a weekly feature right here on WPSL Live and Local. In fact, right now, here's the host of this show, the one and only Rudy Howard.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. Always glad to be with you here on a Wednesday night. Last night was quite a night for the Democrats. And I'll tell you, I'm going to make my first prediction right here. We just found a presidential candidate for 2028. Andy Beshear in Kentucky, the governor of Kentucky. I think he is a very good candidate. He won the governorship as a Democrat in a state where Trump won by 26 points. I think that tells you something. Keep your eye on him. I think unless he really screws up, a la the former governor of New York, he should be in the driver's seat for 2028. He has got the demeanor, he's got the profile, he's got the charisma, and he's got the ideas. Keep your eye on him. Let me tell you something about last night. I know some of my friends, people that I've known a long time, I know were quite upset with how things turned out, especially with regard to Ohio. But here's what I want you to get. You're trying to take away the choice of women with respects to their body. You're trying to force them into a situation that could cost them financial harm. And here's the thing that really pisses me off about the whole thing. You would force them into a position of having a baby, even if it was not financially viable for them. And then you would not want to help them in any manner whatsoever once the baby's here. That makes me angry. I get angry about that. That's just absolutely irresponsible behavior. Now, the other thing that happened last night that I feel pretty good about, conservatives have constantly portrayed anybody who is not anti-abortion as people who want to rip babies out of the wombs of women with their arms and legs and chop them off. That's not. And that is such a gross exaggeration. Brian Longworth has said that on my show. And that is not an accurate portrayal of what most Democrats feel. And I think, just my opinion, Ohio's got it just about right. Their position is abortion is okay until there's viability. And viability has been designated between 22 and 24 weeks. There's not, let me tell you, if you do a little research, there's not a lot of difference between that and Roe v. Wade. Roe v. Wade had a cutoff where abortion was no longer allowed. Think about it for a second. Well, what you did is you made a whole bunch of women mad about disturbing their rights to make a decision. And you have decided, some of you, women and men, that it is your right to decide what a woman does with her body. Now, I strongly disagree with that. And I'm going to just tell you this, because you'll twist around what I'm saying. I am not pro-abortion. I am pro-choice. Women should have the choice of how to handle that pregnancy, because there is a responsibility that comes along with birthing that child that's thousands and thousands of dollars of investment into that child, for that child to live a proper and productive life. Now, anybody wants to call up, challenging me on that, that's fine. That's 340-1590. That's 340-1590. The situation in Gaza, I'm trying to stay away from that because it's just such an explosive topic in our society today. I am adamantly opposed to anyone displaying anti-Semitic behavior toward Jewish people. That's out of bounds. There is you'll get no support from me about that at all. I do have a deep, I'm going to repeat, a deep concern about the thousands and thousands of Palestinians that are innocent victims of this situation. And that's all I'm going to say about that, because saying anything further will probably get me in trouble. But I think there is, and I said this a couple weeks ago, Hamas killed 1,400. Okay. Horrible, killing children, cutting babies' heads off, absolutely horrendous. We are now at almost 10,000 Palestinians. Is 15,000 enough? Is 20,000 enough to feel we have gotten a satisfactory revenge? 25,000 or 30,000? What's the number that says we have had adequate retribution for what they did to us? Just something to think about. Here's a very interesting topic for tonight. I feel in 2023, it is more dangerous for me as a Black man than 1960. Ooh-wee. I can hear some of you, some of my hardened critics, banging on their radio or whatever right now saying, oh, how could he possibly say that? Well, let me tell you why I can say that. The marketing campaign by the conservatives to diminish concerns of racism has been very effective. Very effective. They have accomplished the task. To be honest with you, no matter how much I don't like it, it has been extremely extremely effective. And it started with playing the race card. They came out with that term, playing the race card. So if anybody complained about racism, it's called playing the race card. So people could look down your nose at you for complaining about situations where you felt race was involved. They have a negative assessment of any individuals who speak about racism and injustice. Reverend Al, Benjamin Crump, absolutely has been assassinated by conservatives, even though some of you have no realization that a lot of times when Al is advocating for the poor, that's not just poor Black folks, that's poor white folks too. Then the next thing that they've done, which was another brilliant move on their part, victimology, playing the victim. What a message. That message was so effective that there's a segment of Black people who have climbed on board of the message of not wanting to play the victim. Now, most people with any sense of pride do not want to be seen as victims. So there you are, the gotcha moment. The gotcha moment. And we got Winnie on line 1. Yes, Winnie.
Hi, how you doing tonight?
Okay.
Anyway, Donald Trump, he way up in the polls, 50%. So you think it might be a rematch of Donald Trump and Joe Biden for the nominee?
Yes, I did see it. But I'm not real concerned about it.
Wow. They think Donald Trump gonna win the nominee?
Yeah, I'm not real concerned about it because it's still far out. And I know he's going to be indicted on a couple of those situations. And I suspect once those indictments come down, it's going to drag down his overall ratings. So, but okay.
Okay. All right. Take care. Okay. Bye-bye.
Okay. All right. Bye-bye. So the victimology, that strategy was absolutely brilliant. Conservatives can have a way with trying to come up with terms. And so now, once you put that in place, people with pride will say, well, hell, I don't want to be a victim. So if I complain about racism, then I'm being a victim. And a victim is weak. And I don't want to appear as being weak. So you now have segments of the Black community that have decided, I will not allege racism because that will make me look weak. Then on to the next move. Critical race theory. The first time that was brought to my attention, I had never even heard of it. I didn't even know what it was. It's a college level discipline trying to give people insight into the systematic racism within America. And they spun that into, again, let me give credit where credit's due. They've done a fantastic job of spinning that into a situation where teaching those things makes white folks look bad, makes children feel bad about themselves. So we have to do away with critical race theory. That is bizarre. And those white kids that have been interviewed about that topic have all embraced the idea of learning about that. And I will get into that. It will be part of my summation at the end about the importance of understanding who we are as people, ourselves and others, in order to have a complete and total understanding. And then we go to woke. Wow, another gem by the conservatives, woke. We don't want woke in our society. If you look up the word woke, there is nothing negative about the word woke. Woke basically says you're aware of the things and the environments around you. And so what is wrong with that? But another play on words by conservatives that has absolutely get an A+. You get an A+ from me on that too. Because you got a whole bunch of white folks around here running around talking about, are you woke? I had somebody ask me not long ago, are you woke? I started to get really pissed off and call them a bunch of names, and I decided that I just wouldn't. I just kind of ignored the comment. Am I woke? And now, in 2023, we have legal lynchings. I know you're saying, what the hell is he talking about now? Legal lynchings. Dylan Roof in South Carolina was a lynching. The kid people shot in Buffalo was a lynching. Texas murders were a lynching. They all killed people of specific ethnic background because of who they were. They just didn't use a rope, they used a gun. So I wonder if guns were that readily available back years ago in the 60s and the 50s, instead of using a rope, would it have been a gun? A gun on occasion, but not with regularity like we see now. Now, the other thing today that makes this a much more dangerous place than in the 60s. Guns. The total guns available in the 1960s versus the total guns available in the 2023 is extraordinary. We have more guns than people. We have 450 million guns. 450 million. We got more guns in this country than people. How could that possibly? And the argument for that is it will make you safer. Those guns will make you safer. How could I possibly feel safer in 2023 than in 1960? In 1960, my primary concern was having a fist fight. And I might have a black eye or a busted lip, or I might black somebody else's eye or bust their lip. Now I got to worry about dying. That's a big difference. See, you folks haven't thought about this, but I've thought about this. And there's a loss of sensitivity. Let's talk about how that happened. In 1960, I could point you to a white water fountain and a black water fountain, and that would trigger your sense of injustice right in front of you, and you could see it clear, and the insanity and the injustice of that is obvious. Those symbols are gone. Those symbols no longer exist. White water fountains, black water fountains, colored waiting rooms, those things are all gone. The Klan no longer wears white sheets. They wear three-piece suits. The racism of 2023 is very subtle. That's where I have a concern, because I know there's a lot of very good white brothers and sisters out there that do not endorse racism, but the ability to see it has been obscured by the current climate. So where are we right now? Let's take a little break. And after this break, I'm going to talk about where we are at the moment, but I hope I've given you some background for why I have fear about today worse than 1960. And we will continue on this path when we come back. Don't touch that dial.
At Martin County Roofing, they build trust with quality work. With over 20 years of experience, they handle repairs, restoration, and new roofs for residential and commercial properties. Serving the entire Treasure Coast area, they're fully licensed, bonded, and insured, specializing in tile, metal, shingle, or flat roofs. Let them protect what matters most to you. Contact Martin County Roofing for a free estimate at www.martincountyroofing.com.
Hi, this is Rudy Howard, your independent insurance agent. This means I represent multiple companies, which will allow me to match you with the best company for your needs. I am now officially Rudy's Health Insurance, LLC. So if you need a Medicare plan or a health plan, call me. That number is 475-8856 or my Facebook page, Rudy's Health Insurance. I am ready to serve you.
This is WPSL Port St. Lucie, the talk of the Treasure Coast.
And now, back to the African American scene with your host, Rudy Howard.
Okay, now, where are we now? This is from a Washington Post article dated June 16th, 2023. There was 1,225 Black people surveyed for this article. About half of those surveyed felt it was a good time to be Black in America. I suspect, without evidence, some people did not want to be seen as complaining. I already told you in my prior topics, that was the setup. So if you complain, you're being a victim, and people don't want to be seen as a victim. Black people overall are uneasy over the nation's political and cultural environment. There is a concern of extremism and political tension affecting race relations. I certainly would agree with that. That is from this survey regarding this Washington Post article. There is a concern of extremism and political tension affecting race relations. Now, here's another interesting point. It's not just me. 69% of Black Americans say it is more dangerous time today to be a Black teenager than when they were of the same age. So not just Rudy Howard, about 70% of other Black people feel there's a problem. 3 out of 4 adults are concerned about states stopping the teaching of Black history. 3 out of 4. This is a particularly personal issue for me. Having gone to a suburban school, majority white in New Jersey, when I graduated from high school, the only thing I knew is that we picked cotton. I didn't know jack about Black people. I did not have, and I'm being honest as I can be with you right now, I did not have a very high thought about who we were as Black people, because I did not know much about what, if anything, we had done to contribute to the development of America. Once I got to college and I took my first Black history course, I spent the whole semester with my mouth fell open down to the top of my desk as I continued to find out about all of the things that we had done in helping to build our country. Let's just listen to me. And I'm not a person short on self-esteem, as anybody who knows me will tell you. But the kid at 19 who first went away to college did not have the same self-esteem. That self-esteem came when I had a better understanding of who I was and where I came from. And conservatives tell you it's not important, but it is important. That helped to develop the character of who I am today, some of who you like and some of whom you don't like. But it is part of who helped me become who I am by who understanding what I was and how I could be proud of participating in this country because we had a integral role in the development of this country. That's something very important. I don't know. For some of my white brothers and sisters, I know you just can't grasp the magnitude of that, but that is so important in developing self-esteem. And in order to be a successful, you have to have self-esteem. And understanding who you are and what you are is part of the building blocks of self-esteem. 3 out of 4 adults are concerned, again, about the teaching of Black history. I'm not sure why we're going down that path. And I've already told you what I knew coming out of high school. Now, that's not true for all Black people, because my wife went to a segregated high school in North Carolina. And her understanding of who we were was much deeper than mine because of the teachers in that high school who made sure that they understood about their past and who they were. Very, very beneficial stuff. And I think, and I've said this before too, so it's like a broken record. I believe, maybe I'm being naive, but I believe if white folks had a full and complete understanding of how Black people have contributed to the building of this country, there would be much less animus toward Black people as a whole, because they will see them as partners as opposed to adversaries. Here's a very interesting thing I came across in this article. 8 in 10 Black people believe white people do not trust Black people. 7, now here's the part that got me very interesting. 7 in 10 white people feel that Black people distrust them. So isn't that interesting? It's on both sides. Black people don't feel white people trust them, and white people don't think that Black people trust them. Now, again, for some of you skeptics, let me give you real life stuff. When I'm in a hotel, okay, and there's an elevator associated with that hotel, and I'm on one of the upper floors, if their elevator opens at the bottom and there's a white lady standing next to me, I can look in her face and tell whether or not she has fear about me getting on that elevator. And if she expresses any sign of fear, I will now, and I have had some of my friends say, why do you do that? You don't have to do it. I know I don't have to, but I do. I will wait for another elevator just so that I don't have to be in that environment with her fretting about me being on the elevator with her. Now, some of you listening right now have done that. Don't tell me you didn't, because you did. And here I am, a businessman, a successful businessman trying to catch the elevator to go up to my room. And you're terrified of me because I might beat you up or rape you on the elevator, which I guess I can understand you thinking that, but I don't know why, because you don't know anything about me. But okay. But just understand that that is a situation out there. Now here's another very interesting part from this article. There are Blacks that believe there are white folks who see injustice but don't want to speak out. How many times have I said that on my show over the past 5-6 years? I know they're there. They just don't want to be ostracized. And in some cases, they don't want to be ostracized by their friends. If they speak out about Uncle Joe saying a racist comment at the dinner table, or Billy Smith making an inappropriate remark in their company, they just choose silence. They choose silence. We can't fix the problem that way. We can't. Many Black people believe there's still inequality, but it is much better than it was in the past. I certainly won't argue that point. Many Blacks feel the problem of race is swinging backwards. Now, you keep being told Black people are whining and complaining and playing the victim about nothing. That's what you're told all the time. There's nothing going on here. There's opportunity for them in abundance. All they have to do is go out and grab it, and they can be as successful as anybody. If that's true, let me ask you this. Why are there lawsuits all over this country trying to diminish Black voting power? Think about it. Think about it. Think about it. There is a lawsuit in South Carolina, Alexander versus South Carolina, about redistricting. The more famous case recently is Alabama, Merrill versus Milligan. The Supreme Court twice ruled, okay, I want you to hear this again now. The Supreme Court ruled initially that their map was discriminatory The conservative Supreme Court ruled this, to my shock. The Supreme Court ruled that their map was discriminatory, told them they had to go back and change it. They came back, and the Supreme Court again ruled that that map was discriminatory and took the reins from Alabama and created a new redistricting map. There is a voter suppression law in North Carolina under attack. The Utah State Legislature versus League of Women Voters is another one of the redistricting laws. So why am I telling you these? You keep being told there are no issues and every Black person can be successful if they try hard enough and pull up their bootstraps. So if that's true, why are you trying to take away Black people and brown people's political power? Why? I'm listening. 340-1590. I am listening. Why are you trying to take away their power if it is not an issue? If you think Black folks have all the opportunity, all they have to do is apply the effort, then why are you going out here and trying to diminish their power at the ballot box? Okay, I haven't heard anything, but I have proved to you why I have concerns in 2023 versus the 1960s. Now, let me summarize what I have said to you. The marketing efforts of conservatism has been very successful in diminishing Black concerns. It absolutely is a home run. They have done it. They have found key terms and key phrases and ideas to throw at the public and to paint a picture to the public that Black people just want to complain and whine and don't want to work hard or try hard to be successful. That's the picture they've painted. Very, very effective. Now, if there is no problem, why do you want to restrict the knowledge of Black history? You want to tell me why? Can you answer that question for me? Why do you want to restrict the knowledge of Black history? And I have said this before, and I will say it again. Conservatives have been so successful that they have convinced a segment of Black Americans not to complain. Elsewise, you'd be identified as a victim. And we got Frank on line one. Yes, Frank.
Hey, Rudy. I'm sorry you don't feel successful. I always thought you were.
You thought what?
I'm sorry you don't feel successful. I always thought you were.
I do feel successful.
Well, but you're just saying that if you're African American and you work hard and you pick yourself by your bootstraps, you don't have a chance of being successful.
I didn't say that. That's not what I said.
Oh, okay. What did you say?
What I said is you have been convinced that the key to success for all African Americans is to work hard and pull yourself up by your bootstraps. And that is the formula for success, excluding all other objects and impediments.
Well, I thought that was for everybody. I mean, obviously, you've got senators' sons who are born with a silver spoon and, old school money, but I thought that was the way it was in America. If you worked hard and studied and pulled yourself up by your bootstraps, which is what you did, you could be successful. I didn't think that was just African Americans. I thought anybody could do that.
So, but here's my point, Frank. If that's the argument, and you're regurgitating the conservative argument, which I told you already, it's a very successful argument. Why are some of the objects that are taking place happening if that's all that's necessary? Why is it necessary? Wait, let me finish, and then I'll let you finish. Why is it necessary to stop teaching Black history? Why is it necessary to jury rig districts so that Black people have less of an opportunity to get representation? Why are those things in play if all is necessary is to work hard?
Well, I think you're really taking one example and generalizing it very, very extreme. I mean, everybody has problems. I mean, and African Americans may have more problems than some people. I mean, I think it's more of an economic situation. I mean, if you're born poor, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard, but it's possible. I mean, right now, if you're going to talk about people are being ostracized, I mean, Jewish people are, Mexican people are. I mean, it's just, Cubans are. I mean, it's not a fair world. It's never been.
I gotta let you go, Frank. I got another call, and we're coming to the end of the hour. I got Sean on line 2. Yes, Sean.
Hi, Rudy. I actually wanted to know, you said that it's the talking points of the conservatives that you pull yourself up by your bootstraps and work hard. What is the alternative for Black America other than doing that, or any American other than doing that? What's the alternative? And I agree with you. The gerrymandering of districts is not only hurting Black people, but it also hurts white people, conservatives and liberals alike. That's been going on a long time, and I doubt if it'll stop. But what is the alternative for any American other than working hard and pulling up their bootstraps?
Well, no, there's no argument about that. How could I argue with that? I think that is part of what's built in the American DNA, but that alone is not the ticket to success. I could tell you, except we're at the end of the hour, I could give you countless examples of why people have not been successful, and it had nothing to do with the fact that they didn't work hard. It was because there were impediments.
Booker T. Washington, maybe. Was he successful? Well, and that was before 1960.
Well, yeah, to a certain extent. Is he as successful as he maybe could have been if he did not have the impediments that he had at that time? I don't know. You tell me.
Well, I can tell you that that the President of the United States at the time, Theodore Roosevelt, had a big impact on his success and his notoriety. There was an example of two people working together out of knowledge and compassion. So I think we need to look more at those examples.
I listen, you'll get no argument out of me about that, Sean, but I got to let you go because we're at the end of the hour.
I know we are.
Yeah. Call back again. Maybe I'll do a part 2
I
of this
will.
next
You know
week.
I will. One other
Okay.
thing I want you to straighten out next week, and I'll listen.
Okay. All righty.
The 4 out of 5 that are concerned about the teenage African Americans and fearing for them, find out how many of them fear just the white people or also African Americans.
Okay. All right.
All right.
Yeah, okay. We'll work on that. It is my hope this program has opened your eyes. Yes, things are better than in the 60s, but more dangerous because it is harder for you to see the problems. They are much more subtle. You can see them if you open your eyes and look at the empirical evidence. What I learned in preparing for this program is that there is a lack of trust on both sides, limiting knowledge of each other only furthers the distrust. Well, I got through it. I would like to thank you so much for listening to the African American Scene. I hope that I was able to shed some light on you, that there are some things for you to consider when you make open-ended statements about what you think Black people are capable of doing and not doing. But I'd like to thank you so much for listening to African American Scene. God bless and be safe, and I'll see you next Wednesday right here for the African American Scene.
Brought to you by Rudy's Health Insurance and Martin County Roofing. You've been listening to Rudy Howard's African American Scene, heard on WPSL with archives all over YouTube. Go to WPSLTV.com. Binge watch you some African American Scene with Rudy Howard. And you get to hear the calls too. This is WPSL, Port St. Lucie, the talk of the Treasure Coast, webcaster to the world. It's 7 o'clock right now.